In previous videos, we've talked about how our brains trigger a fight, flight, freeze, panic response to help us tackle a threat. That fight, flight, freeze, FFF response is supposed to be temporary. And after dealing with a threat, we're supposed to return to a neutral and restful state. Remaining in a constant fight, flight, freeze state is dangerous and can result in fatigue, chronic stress, perpetual illness, impaired reasoning and decision making, and altogether a shortened lifespan. In this video, we will show you how to turn off the fight, flight, freeze response and get back to rest and calm. My name is Chidema Obisedenu, founder of My Freedom from Fear. Working with adults to overcome long-held fear of deep water, we developed a framework that works and that can now be applied by you to learn how to live free from anxiety and fear. The fight, flight, freeze response is called the sympathetic response. It is activated by our brain and nervous system to react to a perceived threat. Our body's natural ability to return to calm is called our parasympathetic response. It is also known as our rest and digest state. It is activated by our brain and nervous system to restore calm and balance, allowing the body to rest and recover. To live a healthy and balanced life, we need to spend more time in the parasympathetic, that is, the rest and digest state. Grounding exercises help us intentionally activate this calming response. To be grounded means being fully in your body, aware of your feelings, and present in your environment. When we feel anxious, our minds often fixate on worries of the future or pull us back to regrets of the past. Grounding brings us back to the current moment where it's most often safe and secure. So by grounding ourselves to the present moment, we send messages and signals of safety to our brain and to our nervous system. Grounding exercises rely on a bottoms-up approach, which means starting from the body to influence the brain. This contrasts with a top-down approach where you try to calm yourself through logical reasoning. In our video, What Happens in Your Body When You're Afraid, which you can find here, we learned that when we experience fear or anxiety, the part of the brain that activates the fight, flight, freeze, FFF response does so before the thinking part of our brain can kick in. However, in current life, your primal FFF responses, fight, flight, freeze responses, are sometimes triggered by non-threatening situations. They might be triggered by a scary thought or a traumatic memory. And that's happening in your prefrontal cortex. So sometimes trying to reason yourself out of the anxiety would not work because your prefrontal cortex is actually confirming your body's anxiety. In such cases, and because we know that we're not truly in danger and that the anxiety is stemming from something in our thoughts or our memories, the bottoms-up approach allows us to send soothing signals from our body to our brain. We want thalamus, our brain's vigilante gossip, to pick up these soothing signals and send them to amygdala, our brain's fire chief. Send relaxation instead of fear signals. We can send relaxation signals from our bodies to our brains in the following ways. Number one, we can ground ourselves with our senses. We can send relaxation from our bodies to our brain using our senses by engaging what we're seeing, what we're smelling, what we're tasting, what we're hearing, and what we can touch. We're going to go over one example of a grounding exercise today, and it's called the 5-4-3-2-1 grounding technique. Number two, we can ground ourselves using our breath. We can send relaxation from our bodies up to our brains using breath work. We will show you how to do this in future videos. So go ahead and subscribe to our channel so that you can catch those videos when we release them. Number three, stimulate the vagus nerve. Another way we can send relaxation signals from our bodies up to our brain is by stimulating the vagus nerve, which are the major nerves of our parasympathetic nervous system. The bottoms up approach is particularly effective because our body's response to sensory input is immediate and instinctual and doesn't even need to wait for logic or thinking. It just happens instinctively. So now we're going to go over the 5-4-3-2-1 grounding exercise. It engages all our five senses to reorient you to the present moment and to calm your nervous system. Step one, we're going to do an initial self-check. You want to assess how you feel right now. You can rate your anxiety level from like a 1 to a 10, where 1 is mild and 10 is really agitated. So checking yourself and rate. You can ask yourself, how am I feeling in my body? How's my breathing? What emotions am I feeling? What thoughts am I engaging with? This check-in is to provide a baseline on which you will measure progress. Step two, engage the five senses. Number one, what are 5 things that you can see? Look around and identify 5 things you can see. Describe them in your mind's eye. So for me, one thing I can see right away is the television. I can see square, it's big over there. Second thing I can see is my phone on the phone stand. That's my microphone. Third thing. Another thing I can see is the remote, and I can see the laptop underneath it. Being able to engage and see these things with my eyes just allows me to be seeing what is here now and not imagining what isn't. Number 2, what are 4 things you can touch? For me right now, touching the microphone, the head is foamy, it's soft, it's round, soft to the touch. Second thing I can touch is my water bottle. Smooth surface, cool to the touch. Third thing I can touch is the surface of the table, cool to the touch. It's a bit of a texture on it, kind of grainy texture. Fourth thing I can touch, the feet against the rug. Yeah, it's kind of rough, but in a soothing way. Just nice and comforting under my feet. So what are 3 things I can hear? 3 things I can hear. This allows me to really ground myself to now, because to hear I need to really tune in. So one thing I can hear right now is, I can hear the sound of, is it some lawn tools? It stops and it starts. I don't know whether one of my neighbors is doing some landscaping work, but I can hear those tools. Okay, now I can hear the sound of vehicles passing. And I can hear the silent hum of my laptop. Yeah. So those are 3 things I can hear. What are 2 things I can smell? So there's a smell of my sweater. I'm not sure if it's the fabric, detergent or softener, but it just smells good from the wash. I can smell the top coat on my nails. One thing I can taste. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull my water bottle over here. Add a sip of water. Generally tasteless. That's a good thing. I don't want to taste in my water. But this grounding exercise allowed me to engage all of my senses. And because everything I interacted with are in the here and now, it allowed me to reground myself back to the here and now, the present moment. Step 3, reassess and reflect. After completing the exercise, we want to reassess and check in with ourselves again. What's happening in my body? Do I still feel tense? Where's the tension? Do I feel more relaxed? What's happening with my breath? Is it slower? Is it as ragged as it was before? What's happening with my feelings? Do I feel calmer? What's happening in my thoughts? For the time I was engaging with those items in the current moment, I was able to pull out of my thoughts and back to what is real now. So rate your anxiety level from a 1 to a 10 again. Remember, 1 being mild and 10 being very agitated. How are you feeling? How are you feeling after engaging your 5 senses with a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 grounding exercise? Even small improvements are victories, and consistent practice can lead to significant changes over time. Grounding exercises aren't just for moments of acute stress. The more frequently you ground yourself, the more you strengthen your parasympathetic rest and digest response. Over time, your nervous system will develop a calm resolve, making it easier to better navigate challenging and anxiety-inducing situations. When you begin your practice, start in a quiet, safe, and peaceful environment where you know that it is safe. Remember, you're trying to reorient to the present moment where it is safe. But over time, as you become more confident, you will be able to ground yourself even in stressful environments. The goal is to make grounding an almost instinctive response in anxious situations, something you can rely on to regain control and calm. I know you may not feel fearless now, but hang with me and we'll get there together.